What's up guys, Jonny May here and welcome to this week's quick tip where I'm going to teach you 3 exercises that you can use to master jazz improv. Now, I have a lot of beginner students come to me and say, Jonny, I want to start playing jazz piano, I want to improvise, where do I start? And this can be such an intimidating topic for piano students. In today's lesson, I'm going to teach you a very simple chord progression that you can improvise over. I'm going to teach you one of the most important scales that you need to know to improvise jazz, and then I'm going to teach you 3 exercises using this scale and these chord progressions so that you can start creating beautiful jazzy lines. So let's go ahead and dive in. Alright, if you want to improvise jazz piano, it's very important to use a simple chord progression. And one of my favorite chord progressions and one of the most common progressions in jazz music is called the turnaround progression, and it is used on tons of different jazz standards. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a beginner way of playing this if you're more on the beginner side, and if you have some experience playing jazz, I'm going to teach you how to walk a bass line on this chord progression. Alright, so the chord progression, if you're a beginner, we're starting on a C7 chord using C and E. Okay, these are called shells, and they're basically 2 or 3 notes from your chord. Next chord is an A7, A and G just like this. This is a chord shell, root and 7. D minor 7, we're going to grab like this, D and F. This is the root and the 3rd of the chord. And then finally, we're going to grab our G7 just like this. Okay? Simple chord shells. Now, when you're playing jazz, you want to swing it. In other words, you want to punch the 2nd chord of each measure on the offbeat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, so it's on the and of beat 2. Very, very important to count it correctly. Hey, real quick, want to let you guys know that we are launching our holiday special for up to 50% off the Piano with Jonny membership this Monday, December 2nd. I'll put a link to that below, and let's get back to the lesson. Now, if you're more of an intermediate student, you have some experience playing jazz, you want to walk a bass line. And bass lines are super fun to play. This is a simple bass line. And so what we're going to do is we're going to target this turnaround progression, C. And when we get to A, we're going to use what's called the upper neighbor concept. And basically, before I get to the A, I'm going to use the B flat, A. I'm going to use my thumb on both of those. Then to get to the D, I'm going to use the upper neighbor, E flat to D. And then the upper neighbor to G is the A flat, and then G. And then getting back to C, we're going to use the upper neighbor to C, which is your D flat, okay? Now you could use the 2 finger on the B flat if you don't want to use the same finger, but basically you want to master this chord progression. Okay. It's a 1-6-2-5 chord progression. It's used in tons of different songs. Now I'm going to teach you the scale here in just a second, but you can even take this bass line up a level and you can swing it these little extra 8th notes, 1, 2, and 3. Basically, I'm coming back to the note I started on there. C, B flat, C, A, and then E flat, A, D, and then A flat, D, G. Okay, and this adds a nice swing to your feel. Okay. These are rootless voicings here in my right hand. You can learn more about rootless voicings here at pianowithjonny.com. By the way, if you guys are liking this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you are new to the channel here, hit that subscribe button for more videos just like this. So these are the 2 approaches. You can pick either one you want. But what I want to do here is I want to teach you the scale here. This is one of the most important scales if you want to improvise jazz piano. This is called the Mixo-Blues scale. Let me show you what the scale sounds like. It has a very cool, kind of happy blues sound. Let me show you the notes here. Go ahead and play this with me. We're going to start here in middle C. We're going to go D, E flat with the 3rd finger, thumb to E, F, F sharp, 3rd finger, thumb on G, A, B flat. Okay? And then if you wanted to continue this up the piano, you put your thumb on C. Okay? It's a very, very simple scale here. Now, why do we call it Mixo-Blues? Well, the Mixolydian scale is a very common scale we use on dominant 7th chords in jazz. And basically, it's these 7 notes. Okay? Now the blues scale has a couple additional notes to it. If you play a C blues scale, you have E flat and you have F sharp in this scale. So basically it's a C mixolydian scale like this, and we're adding the E flat and the F sharp to this scale like that. So you actually get all of these colors here in this scale, and it sounds really cool when you put it together. One thing I love about this scale is it's a 3-finger scale, meaning you only have to use thumb, index, and middle finger up the piano. In fact, this is something I recommend you do, is just block this up the piano. I know it sounds kind of weird, but it's going to sound really cool when you put it together. All right, that's called the Mixo-Blues scale. It's a very, very important scale. If you want to learn more scales like this, we have a course called Scales for Improv and Soloing at pianowithjonny.com. I do want to also mention that the sheet music that you're seeing up here on the top left is printable, and you can actually put it in any key with the click of one button. I'll put a link to that below at pianowithjonny.com. But I do want to move you guys on to the exercises. Again, if you want to improvise jazz, you need to have exercises to practice improv. And the first exercise is an eighth note exercise. The eighth note is the most common note value whenever you're improvising in a jazz style. So let me play this exercise for you. Check it out. Okay, so basically what I'm doing is I'm playing this scale primarily in eighth notes, except I start it with a triplet so that this pattern will line up in the same spot. Okay, so go ahead and play this with me. This is the Mixo-Blues scale, and then eighth notes, and then triplet again, and then triplets down, eighth notes, and then triplets. Okay, so it's not terribly hard to play. I would practice this on your own. Give yourself a little beat here. You can practice with a metronome. 4, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, pretty simple. Now you can play your left hand walking bass with this. Or you can do those chord shells. I'll go slow. Okay, the trick here is getting that second chord to line up. 1, 2, and that's going to line up with the F. 3 and 4 and 1, 2, and 3 and 4. And then down, that's going to line up there. That's going to line up there. Okay. Now this does come with a backing track. Let's go ahead and play with the backing track using chord shells in the left hand. Then we're going to use eighth notes in the right hand, and then I'm going to show you how to create lines with eighth notes. Here we go. 3, 4. Okay, not too hard to play. Now the backing track is also downloadable at pianowithjonny.com. I'll put a link to that below. You can get the sheet music and the backing track right there on that page. But let's go ahead and make up some lines using eighth notes. How do I take these eighth notes and create lines with it? Well, here's the thing. You can use any of these notes from this scale over this chord progression, and the real key is to play phrases or lines, and a line has a start and an end point. So you want to leave little gaps in your lines. So here's an example of some lines I might play using eighth notes. Okay, so I'm basically primarily playing eighth notes right now. You can also mix in some other note values, but you always want to make sure you leave little gaps in between your lines. The next exercise here is a triplet exercise. Triplets are the second most common note value when you're playing jazz. Let me show you how this exercise goes. What we're doing now is we're playing 3 notes per beat. Triplet, triplet, triplet. Playing this scale all the way up the piano. 3, 4. Here on the G, I'm going to use the 4th finger on the G and come down from G. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, very simple. Here it is with the chord shells. We'll go slow. 1, 2, that lines up there. 3, 4. Next part. 1, that's with the E. 1, 2, that lines up there. 3, 4, and then with the G. 1, 2, that's together. 3, 4, and then this is with the E. 1, 2, that's together. 3, 4, 1. Okay, so be very careful that your hands are lining up in the correct spots with this. This is usually the hardest things for students, is to find how the hands come together. You can also do this with walking bass line. Okay, it's kind of simple in some ways because your left hand is just simply playing quarter notes, but that's the way that would happen. And then if you come down, if you want to learn more, by the way, of these walking bass lines, we have a whole course on this topic as well, jazz walking bass lines. But you want to speed this up, eventually try playing it with this backing track, and this is a great tempo. Here we go. Okay, tons of fun. You can practice this on your own, but now what you should do is try to make up some lines using triplets, and take your time, but triplet lines would sound something like this. Okay, it's that triplet sound. Triplet, 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 triplet. The smart sheet music is also very helpful for this. You can slow that down, and I do recommend you try this in some other keys. Guys, the final exercise here is a slide exercise, and you really want to use slides if you're playing jazz because you want that blues sound. The notes that I really like to slide here are the D. I'll do a down slide like that, E flat down to D. Okay. You could do an up slide, E flat to E. And by the way, I use the same finger for these slides. Okay. And then the A, I'll do an up slide to A. Okay? And you can practice these up the piano. Down slide to D, up slide to E, up slide to A. Okay? Okay. So this exercise here is like a scale exercise that helps you practice your slides. And the way I do it is like this. I do down slide to D, up slide to E, thumb on G, and then I'm going to up slide to A, okay, and then thumb on C, D, C. That's it. And we repeat it. Down slide to D, down to C, up slide to E, up slide to A, and then D, C. Now coming down, you're going to do a very similar pattern. We're going to up slide the E, like that, second finger, G, down slide to D, up slide to A, that's G, and then E. I go single note, E to G, and then repeat the same pattern. Up slide to E, down slide to D, up slide to A, and then E, G. Okay, so the whole pattern coming up. And then coming down. And then same thing. You can do it with the left-hand shells. Okay, sounding really nice. And then try to improvise some lines with this concept. Let me show you an example of how I would slide over the turnaround progression. I'm going to actually use the track for this one. Okay, here we go. Hey, I hope you guys enjoyed this quick tip, and if you did, I want to encourage you to check out pianowithjohnny.com. We have over 600 step-by-step lessons in jazz swing, Latin jazz, cocktail jazz, blues, improvisation, theory, technique. It is the full learning platform for all playing levels. Also, check out the Piano with Johnny membership. This gives you unlimited access to our entire course library, plus you get to be part of our live monthly events. Lastly, I want to remind you that we're celebrating the holidays with up to 50% off the Piano with Johnny membership starting this Monday, December 2nd. And if you've been waiting to sign up for the Piano with Johnny membership, this is the lowest price that we offer all year long. So I'll put a link to that below, and I'll see you in the next lesson.